I caught my husband with another woman at our anniversary dinner, so I made him watch as I gave away everything he loved. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking as I read the message again. Looking forward to seeing you tonight, baby. I've missed you so much these past 2 weeks. Can't wait to feel you against me again. Love you. The text wasn't meant for me. My husband of 8 years had accidentally sent it to me instead of her, whoever her was. After nearly a decade together, after building a life and planning a future, after trusting him with every part of me. This was how I discovered the truth. Today was supposed to be special. It was our 8th wedding anniversary, and we had reservations at Eloise, the upscale French restaurant where he'd proposed to me. I'd spent the afternoon at the salon getting my hair done, bought a new dress that hugged my curves in all the right places, and even splurged on the expensive perfume he loved. I'd been planning to tell him tonight that after 3 years of trying, I was finally pregnant. 6 weeks along. Our miracle baby. Now I sat on our bed, still in my bathrobe, staring at those words that had shattered everything. Love you. Not love you or love you like he sometimes texted me. Love you. Deliberate. Meaningful. I didn't cry. I felt strangely calm as I formulated my plan. If there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I don't just get mad. I get methodical. I got dressed, the red dress I'd bought for tonight, the one I'd been so excited for him to see. I did my makeup perfectly, taking extra care with my eyeliner, making sure my lipstick was flawless. I styled my hair, spritzed on that expensive perfume, and put on the diamond earrings he'd given me for our 5th anniversary. Then I called his mother. Evelyn? It's Sarah. I need a favor, and I need you not to ask any questions right now. I promise I'll explain everything later. To her credit, my mother-in-law agreed immediately. She'd always liked me, had always treated me like the daughter she never had. I wondered briefly if that would change after tonight. Next, I called my best friend, Miranda. I need you, was all I said. I'll be there in 20, was her reply. While I waited, I pulled out my laptop and made a few quick transfers from our joint accounts to my personal account, the one I'd maintained separately since before we were married. Not everything, just enough. Just what I'd need. Miranda arrived with a bottle of tequila and a fierce expression that softened when she saw me. You look stunning, she said, puzzled. What's going on? I showed her the text. Her face went from confused to furious in seconds. That motherfucker, she whispered. What do you need me to do? I told her my plan. She didn't try to talk me out of it. That's why I loved her. Are you sure about this? She asked when I finished. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Then let's go burn his world down. Eloise was packed when we arrived. Friday night, prime dinner service. White tablecloths, candlelight, soft music, waiters in crisp black and white, all exactly as I remembered from 8 years ago when I'd said yes to forever with a man I thought I knew. I spotted him immediately. He was at our usual table, the one by the window with the view of the river. But he wasn't alone. She was beautiful, I had to give him that. Younger than me, maybe mid-20s. Long blonde hair, delicate features, slim figure in a black dress that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage payment. He was holding her hand across the table, the same way he'd held mine countless times. His thumb was stroking her wrist, a gesture so familiar it made me sick. I waited until they were both looking at each other, lost in conversation, before I approached. Miranda stayed behind, filming discreetly on her phone as we'd planned. Happy anniversary, James. The color drained from his face when he looked up and saw me standing there. For a moment, he seemed confused, like his brain couldn't process seeing me in this setting, in this context. Then horror dawned as he realized what was happening. Sarah, he choked out. What are you? I can explain. No need, I said, my voice steady and cool. Your text this morning explained everything quite clearly. I turned to the woman, who was staring at me with wide, shocked eyes. I'm Sarah. James's wife. Today is our 8th wedding anniversary. I extended my hand. And you are? She didn't take my hand. Her eyes darted to James, who looked like he was about to vomit. I'm Megan, she finally said, her voice small. I didn't. He told me he was separated. That the divorce was almost finalized. I laughed, though there was no humor in it. Did he? How interesting. We just renewed our vows last year. I pulled out my phone, found a photo from that day, and showed it to her. See? That's us with his parents. 6 months ago. James stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Several nearby diners turned to look. Sarah, please, he hissed. Let's talk about this privately. I ignored him. How long have you been seeing my husband, Megan? She looked miserable, trapped. A year and a half. A year and a half. All those late nights at the office. The business trips. The weekends he'd spent helping his brother move. All lies. And you found out today? Megan asked, looking confused. From a text? He sent me a message that was meant for you, I confirmed. Not very careful, was he? But then, cheaters rarely are in the long run. By now, everyone at the surrounding tables was watching. I could feel their eyes on us, could hear the hushed whispers. James was sweating profusely. Sarah, for God's sake. You're making a scene. This isn't like you. You're right, it's not, I agreed. But it turns out I don't really know who I am anymore, just like I clearly never knew who you were. I reached into my clutch and pulled out an envelope, placing it on the table. Happy anniversary, James. I filed for divorce this afternoon. His jaw dropped. You what? I also called your mother. She's expecting you to come stay with them for a while, since I changed the locks on our house today. You can't do that. He sputtered. That's my house too. I leaned in closer. Actually, it's my house. Remember? We bought it from my parents. Your name isn't even on the deed, though I'm sure my lawyer will sort all that out. His face contorted with rage. You crazy bitch, he hissed. You think you can humiliate me like this? No, James. You humiliated yourself. I straightened up and addressed the room at large. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption. But I thought you should all witness this moment. You see, my husband has been leading a double life for the past year and a half. And today, I'm setting myself free. I turned back to my husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, and his mistress. Oh, and one more thing, James. I'm pregnant. Congratulations, you're going to be a father. But don't worry, I won't be asking for child support. I don't want anything from you ever again. With that final blow, I turned and walked out of the restaurant, head held high, Miranda following close behind me. I didn't look back to see his reaction. I didn't need to. I knew I'd broken him the same way he'd broken me. Outside, in the cool night air, I finally let myself exhale. That was epic, Miranda said beside me, putting her arm around my shoulder. Are you okay? I nodded slowly. I will be. And for the first time that day, I believed it. News travels fast in a small town. By the next morning, my phone was blowing up with text messages and calls from friends, acquaintances, and even people I barely knew. Apparently, several diners at Eloise had recorded the whole confrontation, and it had spread across local social media like wildfire. I ignored most of the messages. I wasn't interested in becoming a local celebrity or having my pain turned into entertainment. I just wanted to move on. James had tried calling me 37 times since last night. I didn't answer. He'd also sent me dozens of texts, ranging from angry, "You had no right to humiliate me like that," to pleading, "Please, baby, let me explain. It wasn't what it looked like," to pathetic, "I still love you. I always have." She meant nothing. Each message made me more certain I'd made the right decision. Around noon, there was a knock at my door. I peered through the peephole, half expecting to see James, but it was his mother, Evelyn. I opened the door hesitantly. "Evelyn, I..." She pulled me into a fierce hug before I could finish. "Don't you dare apologize," she said fiercely. "Not to me, not to anyone." I broke down then, sobbing in her arms like a child. She guided me to the couch and held me while I cried, stroking my hair the way my own mother would have if she were still alive. "I knew something was wrong with him," she said when my tears had subsided. "A mother knows. But I never imagined. I'm so sorry, Sarah." "Did he tell you everything?" I asked, wiping my eyes. She nodded grimly. "He showed up at our doorstep last night, drunk and ranting about how you'd ruined his life. Robert and I got the whole story out of him eventually. Robert was James's father, a quiet but kind man who'd always treated me with respect. Robert's not speaking to him. Hasn't said a word since James admitted what he did. That surprised me. Robert and James had always been close. He's staying with us for now," Evelyn continued. "But I want you to know that Robert and I are on your side. What James did was unforgivable." "Thank you," I whispered. "That means more than you know." Evelyn squeezed my hand. "And the baby? Is that true?" I nodded, placing a hand protectively over my still flat stomach. 6 weeks. I was going to tell him last night. Fresh tears welled in Evelyn's eyes. "Oh, Sarah. After all your struggles. This should have been such a happy time. It will be, I said with determination. Just, different than I imagined. Evelyn stayed for an hour, helping me make a list of things I needed to do, find a good lawyer, schedule doctor's appointments, consider whether I wanted to stay in this house or make a fresh start somewhere else. Before she left, she hugged me again. You're still my daughter, she said firmly. Nothing will change that. After she left, I felt lighter somehow. Knowing I hadn't lost my in-laws, the only real family I had left, gave me strength. I spent the rest of the day ignoring James's calls and making plans. I contacted a divorce attorney who came highly recommended, scheduled my first prenatal appointment, and started researching single motherhood. I was just about to order dinner when there was another knock at my door. This time, I was greeted by the unwelcome sight of James through the peephole. My first instinct was to ignore him, but I could see from the determined set of his jaw that he wasn't going to leave easily. Better to deal with him now, on my terms, than have him making a scene. I opened the door but blocked the entrance with my body. What do you want? He looked terrible. Unshaven, red-eyed, wearing the same clothes from last night. Can I please come in? Just for a few minutes? No. His face hardened. This is my house too, Sarah. No, it's not. And if you don't leave, I'll call the police. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. Jesus, Sarah. I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed incredulously. You think I'm upset? You've been living a double life for a year and a half. You've lied to me, betrayed me, made me look like a fool. Upset doesn't begin to cover it. I made a mistake, he pleaded. A terrible mistake. But I love you. I've always loved you. Don't. My voice was ice. Don't you dare say you love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. People make mistakes, Sarah. Good people make terrible mistakes every day. It doesn't mean they're monsters. You're right. It doesn't. But how you handle those mistakes, that shows who you really are. And you handled yours by continuing to lie for 18 months. He looked down at his feet. I was afraid of losing you. Well, now you have. Congratulations. He looked up, his eyes desperate. What about the baby? You can't keep me from my child. I have no intention of keeping you from your child. But I also have no intention of letting you back into my life. So that's it? 8 years of marriage, gone because of one mistake? One mistake? I echoed. James, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something hurtful in the heat of an argument. What you did was a choice. A choice you made every day for a year and a half. He had no response to that. I want you to leave now, I said firmly. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce proceedings. Sarah, please. Goodbye, James. I closed the door in his face and locked it, then leaned against it, listening to his footsteps as he finally walked away. Only then did I allow myself to slide down to the floor and cry again, mourning the life I thought I had, the future I'd planned, the love I'd believed in. But I didn't cry for long. I had a new life to build, a child to raise, a future to create on my own terms. And I was ready. The divorce proceedings were messier than I'd hoped. Despite his mother's disappointment, despite the public humiliation, despite the incontrovertible evidence of his betrayal, James fought me at every turn. He contested the division of assets, argued against the custody arrangement I proposed, even though I was generous in offering him visitation rights, and dragged out the process with delaying tactics and frivolous objections. His lawyer, a slick, expensive type who specialized in protecting cheating husbands, tried to paint me as emotionally unstable, citing my public meltdown at the restaurant as evidence of my unfitness as a mother. My lawyer, a tough-as-nails woman named Diane who'd been through her own nasty divorce, saw through their strategy immediately. They're trying to bully you into accepting less than you deserve, she told me during one of our meetings. Classic intimidation tactics. But we're not going to let them win. And we didn't. It took 6 exhausting months, but in the end, I got everything I was entitled to: the house, half of our joint assets, full primary custody of our unborn child with reasonable visitation for James, and even alimony for 3 years while I adjusted to single motherhood. Throughout it all, Evelyn and Robert remained firmly on my side, even testifying on my behalf when James tried to claim I was alienating his family against him. Their support was invaluable, both legally and emotionally. As my pregnancy progressed, I found myself focusing less on the pain of betrayal and more on the joy of impending motherhood. Each doctor's appointment, each flutter of movement, each tiny hiccup visible on the ultrasound reminded me that something beautiful had come from the wreckage of my marriage. I converted James's home office into a nursery, painting the walls a soothing sage green and filling the room with books, toys, and a rocking chair where I spent hours imagining holding my child. Miranda and my other close friends threw me a baby shower, carefully excluding anyone who'd taken James's side in the divorce. It was smaller than the one I'd once imagined, but filled with so much genuine love and support that I barely noticed who was missing. And then, on a crisp fall morning 7 months after discovering James's betrayal, my water broke 3 weeks early. I called Miranda, who rushed over to drive me to the hospital, and then, after a moment's hesitation, I called James. Whatever had happened between us, he deserved to know his child was coming into the world. The labor was long and difficult. 26 hours of pain unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Miranda stayed with me the entire time, holding my hand, wiping my brow, encouraging me when I felt I couldn't go on. James arrived 4 hours in, awkward and uncertain but clearly determined to be present. We didn't speak much, what was there to say? But when the final pushing began, he stood on one side of me while Miranda stood on the other, each of them supporting me as I brought our daughter into the world. Emma Grace was born at 3:47 a.m., weighing 6 pounds, 2 ounces, with a full head of dark hair and her father's deep blue eyes. She was perfect. When the nurse placed her on my chest, I felt a love so profound, so all-encompassing that it took my breath away. Every struggle, every tear, every moment of heartbreak had been worth it for this. I looked up and saw James watching us, tears streaming down his face. "She's beautiful," he whispered. "Just like her mother." In that moment, I didn't see my ex-husband the cheater. I saw a father meeting his daughter for the first time. And despite everything, my heart softened just a little. "Do you want to hold her?" I asked. The gratitude in his eyes as he carefully took Emma into his arms told me I'd made the right choice. Whatever had happened between us, we were forever connected through this perfect little person. We would have to find a way to co-parent, to put her needs above our pain. It wouldn't be easy. The road ahead would be filled with complicated emotions, difficult conversations, and inevitable conflicts. But as I watched James whispering to our daughter, making promises I hoped he'd keep this time, I felt something unexpected: hope. Not hope for reconciliation, that door was firmly closed. But hope that we could build something new from the ashes of what we'd lost. Something that would give Emma the love and stability she deserved. As I drifted off to sleep, exhausted but content, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From the devastation of betrayal to the triumph of rebuilding my life on my own terms. From the woman who planned anniversary surprises to the woman who walked out of a restaurant with her head held high. From wife to single mother. I had survived. I had thrived. And with Emma in my life, the best was yet to come. 3 years later. "Mommy, look. I did it all by myself." Emma stood proudly in front of her easel, paint smeared across her chubby cheeks, holding up a chaotic swirl of colors that vaguely resembled a butterfly. Or maybe a dinosaur. "That's beautiful, sweetie," I exclaimed, crouching down to her level. "Should we hang it on the fridge when it dries?" She nodded enthusiastically, her dark curls bouncing. "Can we show Daddy when he comes?" "Of course we can. He's picking you up tomorrow, remember? For the whole weekend." She jumped up and down excitedly. "That's right. And Grandma and Grandpa will be there too." Emma clapped her hands. "I love Grandma and Grandpa. They love you too, baby. So much." I helped her clean up the paint supplies, marveling as I always did at how much joy this little person brought into my life. The past 3 years hadn't been easy, but they'd been fulfilling in ways I never could have imagined. I'd gone back to work part-time when Emma was 6 months old, then launched my own interior design business when she turned 2. It had been scary at first, stepping out on my own, but I'd built a solid client base and was finally doing work I truly loved. James and I had settled into a careful co-parenting relationship. We communicated primarily through text messages and a shared online calendar, keeping our interactions focused solely on Emma's needs. He had weekend visitation twice a month, plus dinner one evening each week and shared holidays. To my surprise, he'd been a consistent presence in Emma's life. He never missed a visitation, always returned her on time, and seemed genuinely devoted to being the best father he could be. Maybe losing so much had finally taught him to value what he had. I'd heard through Evelyn that things hadn't worked out with Megan. She'd left him shortly after the divorce was finalized, apparently unwilling to deal with the complications of his new life as a part-time father. There had been other women since then, but no one serious. As for me, I dated sporadically, a teacher at Emma's daycare, a client who'd asked me out after I redesigned his office, a man Miranda had set me up with. None had progressed beyond a few casual dates. I wasn't opposed to finding love again, but I wasn't in any hurry either. My life was full as it was. The doorbell rang just as Emma and I finished cleaning up. "Is that Auntie Miranda?" Emma asked hopefully. Miranda was her favorite person in the world, besides me and possibly her grandparents. "I think so. She said she might stop by today." I wiped a smear of blue paint from Emma's forehead. "Let's go see." But when I opened the door, it wasn't Miranda standing on my porch. It was James. "Hi," he said awkwardly. "I know I'm a day early. I hope it's okay that I stopped by." Before I could respond, Emma darted between my legs with a squeal of delight. "Daddy." James's face lit up as he crouched down to catch her in a hug. "There's my favorite girl. I missed you so much." "I made a painting," she announced proudly. "Wanna see?" "I'd love to see your painting, princess. But first, can I talk to mommy for a minute? Grown-up stuff." Emma pouted but nodded solemnly. "Okay. I'll go get my painting ready." She dashed back inside, leaving James and me alone on the porch. I crossed my arms, suddenly self-conscious in my paint-splattered jeans and messy ponytail. "What's going on? Is everything okay with tomorrow's pickup?" "Everything's fine," he assured me quickly. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I recognized from our years together. "I needed to talk to you, and I thought it might be better in person than over text." I tensed. "If you want to change the custody arrangement." No, nothing like that." He took a deep breath. "I'm moving." I blinked, surprised. "Moving? Where?" "Chicago. My company's opening a new office there, and they've asked me to head it up. It's a big promotion." "Oh." I wasn't sure what to say. "Congratulations." "Thank you." He hesitated. Obviously, this complicates things with Emma. My protective instincts flared immediately. "James, if you think I'm going to let you take my daughter to Chicago." "No," he interrupted firmly. "I would never ask that. Emma's life is here, with you. You're an amazing mother, Sarah. I see how happy and well-adjusted she is, and I know that's because of you." His words caught me off guard. In 3 years of awkward co-parenting, he'd never acknowledged my parenting skills so directly. "So what are you proposing?" I asked cautiously. "I was thinking I could fly back one weekend each month for our regular visitation, plus longer stretches during school breaks and holidays. We could also set up regular video calls so I can still see her during the weeks. I know it's not ideal, but I'd make it work. I'd never abandon her." I studied his face. There was a sincerity there I hadn't seen in a long time, maybe ever. The man standing before me wasn't the same one who'd betrayed me 3 years ago. He'd grown, changed. "When would you leave?" I asked. 3 weeks. The apartment's already lined up, and they want me to start by the 1st of next month." I nodded slowly, processing. "Have you thought about how you'll tell Emma?" "I was hoping we could do it together," he admitted. "I think she'll take it better if we're both there, presenting a united front." A united front. There was a time when that phrase would have felt like a cruel joke, but now it seemed possible. Not as husband and wife, but as parents who both love their child more than anything. "Okay," I agreed. "We can tell her together this weekend. And your plan sounds reasonable, as long as you're consistent with the calls and visits. She needs stability." "I know. And I promise, I'll be there for her, no matter what." He hesitated, then added, "I want to thank you, Sarah." "For what?" "For being so gracious about this. For always putting Emma first, even when I didn't deserve your cooperation. For being the person you are." I didn't know how to respond to that. Part of me wanted to remind him that I hadn't done it for him, I'd done it for our daughter. But the truth was more complicated than that. "We should go inside," I said instead. "Emma's probably bouncing off the walls waiting to show you her masterpiece." He smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Lead the way." As I watched him with Emma that evening, the way he listened intently to her rambling stories, the gentle way he helped her put on her pajamas, the serious expression as he examined her painting, I felt an unexpected sense of peace settle over me. Life had taken me on a journey I never could have anticipated. The pain of betrayal had transformed into the strength of independence. The end of my marriage had led to the beginning of a life I'd built on my own terms. And now, as I prepared to navigate yet another change, I knew I was ready. Not just to handle James's move and the complications it would bring, but to embrace whatever came next in my own life. That night, after James had left and Emma was tucked into bed, I found myself sitting on my back porch, looking up at the stars. The same stars I'd looked at on that terrible night 3 years ago, When I'd thought my world was ending. My world hadn't ended. It had expanded. Transformed. Renewed itself in ways I couldn't have imagined. And as I sat there in the quiet night, I felt something I hadn't expected to feel ever again: gratitude. Not for the betrayal, but for the journey it had set me on. The journey that had led me here, to this moment of hard-won peace and unexpected joy. Whatever came next, I was ready.